everyone here. This is Chris Capri and Ken Medonich. We are with NeuroTrader and SecondSkiesForex.com. And today's webinar is a continuation of the launching of our NeuroTrader program. And it's really us kind of talking about another aspect of this, which is trading for a hedge fund. So Ken and I have this come together in this joint venture partnership to create the world's first ever peak performance trading program using biodata and AI. There's nothing that's been done like this before, and we're doing it through wearable technology. And the numbers are crazy. The science is there, everything's in place. And Ken and I had this same vision that we felt like the trading education industry as a whole was kind of stuck in the mud, and that there was something that we weren't doing in terms of how we were training traders. And we felt that by bringing this to traders, that it would totally change the way trading education is done. And it's the same thing we're seeing done in sports in terms of using advanced analytics, AI, and biodata. And we feel that this is going to be standard technology in the trading industry within the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. That pretty soon nobody will be looking at trading without biodata and without wearable technology. And so Ken and I, on top of this joint vendor partnership in terms of this creating this program, we've also partnered together because we are going to create our own hedge fund. We're creating our own hedge fund right now that needs traders, and it's the only hedge fund that uses biodata and AI and wearable technology to measure traders' performance. And there are other things about this hedge fund that make it completely unique, that the normal barriers to entry to trade for a fund are completely different with us. And they're much easier than if you wanted to go and get a job at a traditional hedge fund and trade for them, or for any proprietary firm. So that is what this presentation and this webinar is about. So Ken, do you want to say anything before we kind of just jump into our presentation and tell people why they're going to want to trade for us and why this program is unique?
You did such a wonderful introduction, and the slides that follow will explain everything that you've said in such more clarity. I'll only add a sentence, and that is that I'll confirm and support what you said in terms of this is where the industry is going. And it's simply stated by the question, would you park your money, or what professional investor will park his money in a hedge fund that is not monitoring the psychophysiology of the traders that are moving his money around on a day-to-day basis? And this is really the thing that's going to revolutionize our industry, that as more companies integrate this and adopt this technology, because of the performance benefits of being able to really monitor, manage, and really nurture your traders, that development process, as you said, Chris, it's the education industry is stuck in the mud, and it's true. How does a hedge fund manager know, and how does he guide his traders to become peak performers on a daily and weekly basis? And as people start to discover what we're doing here and see those results as individual traders and as a fund, everybody's going to want to adopt it to get the same benefits for their employees and for their investors. And just the sum, then it comes back to that same question. How are you going to attract investment funds into your hedge fund if you're not monitoring the psychophysiological status of your traders on a day-to-day basis? That's why this is so revolutionary.
Yeah, and you're already starting to see that in many other industries. The professional football, American football, there's rugby is starting to use it. I was just talking to one of my web guys in New Zealand, and he was saying the rugby team there is using it as well. And so biodata, AI, and analytics are moving into the higher echelons of competitive arenas, such as sports, and other industries, and it's only a matter of time before it's standard in trading. And so we are starting that. We are the first to be doing that. And so we're going to jump into this presentation. Now, before we do begin, I do want to say one thing. You're going to have most likely a lot of questions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have specific points in time in the webinar where we will pause and answer questions. And so if you do have questions, go ahead and write them down on a little notepad, or you're welcome to type them in now. And then just understand we'll get to them when we get to the specific Q&A periods throughout this webinar. So, okay, with that being said, so there are really 4 defining features which kind of makes our hedge fund completely unique and different from any other hedge fund. So after I was a broker on Wall Street, I got a job trading for a hedge fund, and there are barriers to entry to trade for any hedge fund. And so, besides analyzing your performance, which is going to have to be a live account, it's going to have to be profitable, it's going to have really good numbers. There's a lot of other things that you're going to have to go through in terms of barriers of entry to get a job trading for that hedge fund. And we're actually taking a lot of those barriers of entry and completely removing them for you. In fact, we're actually making the barriers completely different. And that's because of the advantages with the AI and wearable technology we're using. So there are 4 main points you need to understand that why our hedge fund is completely unique. And the first part is that we are the only one that's using wearable technology and AI to improve your performance. So we're monitoring your biology and psychophysiological reactions that you're having to your trading in real time. And the AI is analyzing that and finding patterns for you when you're in an optimal, suboptimal, or non-optimal state for trading. And that is a completely unique competitive edge that can teach you how to find opportunities and finding trades that you should be loading into, and finding before you even enter the trade, finding and getting informed by the technology that, hey, this is not the time to be going after that trade. And that's a unique advantage that nothing else can offer you right now. The second feature which makes our hedge fund unique is that we're offering you 2 ways to make money from your trading. So normally you're trading for a hedge fund, you're given a sub account and a master account, and you have your risk limits and you have your parameters, and you get a percentage of your performance of the profits that you get on that account. If you don't make any money, if you don't make any profits, you're not getting paid. We're actually offering 2 ways, which we're going to talk about later on in there, but it's not just your trading, but there's something else that we're using, a technology we're using that is going to help you make money from your account, regardless of whether you are break even or slightly profitable. We can actually make money from your trading, whether you're break even or if you're break even. And some people think, oh, okay, that's amazing. I didn't know I can make money when I'm break even. How is that even possible? So this is something that's never really been offered before. If you're break even at a hedge fund, you're not getting any performance fees. You're not getting paid. The last thing is that you can actually make money for a hedge fund even trading with a demo account. So you don't actually even have to be trading a live account right now or when you complete our training program to actually make money with us and trade for us. And there's no other hedge fund that will really offer you that opportunity out there. So before I move on, Ken, do you want to say anything about these 4 points and why you feel that they're unique and how they can understand, everybody here that's listening can understand that this is just a completely unique opportunity that you're not going to get anywhere else?
Well, I think, again, for everybody who's sitting there, you could be turning around and say, how is this possible? And the answer is, how can we be so different to every other hedge fund and really be creating this paradigm shift in the way that traders are employed and trained and how profits are made? It's through the wearable technology. Hedge funds and banks need to have extremely high barriers of entry because they can't manage and monitor your progress as a trader. They only have one thing there's two things that they can look at. The amount of time that like when you dock in and when you dock out of work, so you've got to go to a physical building, you've got to dock in and dock out. That's one way that they can manage your attendance and your devotion and commitment to your trade. The other way is through the financial statements. That's the only two ways that they can track, and they can't do anything about it. So if you're if your wife's having a child, and your totally routine is totally shifted, your performance absolutely goes down because you can't focus the time. Now, how does a hedge fund know that, or any other personal thing that you're not disclosing to the hedge fund? How can they help you manage that situation? Even in terms of just fatigue. But with wearable technology, we have this extraordinary opportunity with this profound tool to be able to drop the barrier of entry, because we're monitoring your biology. And the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, is learning when you're in an optimal state, when you're not in an optimal state. It figures out on a day-to-day, as an intra-week basis, it starts to figure out the type of pattern you have in terms of your own trading. And this is how we can drop the barriers of entry, because we have so much more data with which to monitor and manage your trading effectiveness and your development as a trader. And this is why the barriers can come down, because we've increased the ability to manage and monitor your trading performance.
Yeah, and that's, when I worked for a hedge fund, we didn't have kind of we had a trading psychologist, but that's the person, if you had personal issues going on, that's the person you went to. But that's, other than talking to them and then giving some advice and some, recommendations, that's all the support you would get from a hedge fund in terms of monitoring your performance. Whereas we're doing it completely differently. When you are trading for us, we're seeing it all. We're monitoring it in real time, and all your data is being recorded, whether I'm at the computer or not. It's all being recorded, and it's all available for us to analyze and find specific and unique biorhythms about you. And so when you're trading well, when you're not, when you're totally on, and when you're off the reservation at that point. So it gives us a very unique edge that is not being implemented and not available for you anywhere else. And on top of it, you don't have to come to our office to trade with us. You can trade from home. That's a very unique part of this program. So,
and just as Chris said, the best hedge funds and banking trading floors in the world have a psychologist on staff, as do we. So we don't lack anything that the hedge funds have. We actually have more tools with which they've only started to be introduced to. Yeah, we're implementing them now.
Yeah. Yes. And that's a unique advantage. So I kind of wish I had this back in the day when I was trading for the hedge fund. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing, which is using wearable technology to mitigate risk and optimize gains. And so, Ken, do you want to say a few things about this and talk about specifically how this technology can help them mitigate risk, optimize gains, and really help them improve their performance on a day-to-day basis through the AI and technology?
All right, so just to look at the schematic. So where you're down there, you see a picture of me at my trading trading platform. That's a representation of the desktop application. Above that, the square above that, is the biodata that we're collecting. Presently, we have the wearable device which wraps around your finger, which is monitoring your heart rate, your peripheral temperature, and your skin conductance. In July, August, I've already commenced conversations with the manufacturer. We're integrating eye tracking technology as well. There's a wealth of information within eye tracking technology in order to discern between different states of decision making as well. So that top above me, that's where the devices are. That raw data and processed data goes into the server, which is the gray box. With inside there, that's where we have all of our machine learning. The artificial intelligence sits there, the databases, the raw and processed data sits there. and also the communication ports which shoot out orders into the market. So as the artificial intelligence learns your specific biology, and also as it adjusts itself for your growth rate. So the way that you're going to trade, or the way that you trade today, your biological responses to the markets today are going to be very different to what they're going to be in 6 months' time. You will be more self-regulated, you'll be calmer, you'll be clearer, your decisions will be more precise. And as this process goes, the artificial intelligence, the machine learning will adapt to that, and it will only shoot out orders that have a high probability of success. Low probability trades, which are trades when you're in a suboptimal biological state, will not be pushed through to the market. And that's where we increase your profitability dramatically by getting rid of not passing losing trades or catching as many losing trades as we possibly can. That then leads to the bottom yellow and green lines, which is the communication that the server gives to you in terms of the artificial intelligence is giving you visual cues, and will be integrating auditory cues as well. And also the yellow line is the performance reports. So as the months during the program increase, you're going to be getting more information in terms of reporting on your performance. At the very, very start, in the first couple of months, we're not going to give you that much information, because you're going to have a lot of things that you're going to need to learn about the psychology of peak performance and the psychophysiology, the biology. We really want you to enable you to be peak performers in your own right, so that you understand the biology and psychology of your own success. So this is a very, very important part, and it can't be underestimated. If you speak to any of the great athletes in the world, Roger Federer, Cristiano Ronaldo, and all these types of guys, they all know intimately the biology and the psychology of success as it pertains to their specific activity. You must know. You can't just leave it to the psychologist. You can't just leave it with the physiotherapist. You have to intimately know what your body is doing in order to get the most out of it. And this is the wealth of information that we're going to pass on to you in the first 6 months of the program. So the first couple of months, you're really going to get a very deep understanding about the psychophysiology of successful trading. As you get that foundation, we're then going to start to increase the reporting that you get every single day, so you can see the practical application of the knowledge in your daily decisions and in the biodata that you're producing. We're also going to be producing reports a little bit later on, which are going to show you where your decision making is in comparison to the group, not in terms of saying who's better or worse, but so that you can start to see where different growth rates lie and what's in store for you in terms of your development towards a peak performing trader. So that's the system as a whole and what you can expect over the next 6 months during the course.
Yeah, it's such a unique thing, and the more. So I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I always watch a lot of sports, football, American football. I watch a lot of different sports, hockey, basketball, and the thing that I keep seeing, the trend that's happening more and more, is biodata and AI and analytics for these professional levels. Real Madrid did it. They have quantitative data and AI analyzing their individual players' performance. I know Inter Milan is using it. There's a lot of teams in the football world that are doing it. In American football, the latest Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, they were using biodata. They were one of the first teams to ever do this, to the point where they can actually tell exactly what is the spin rotation on the ball for their quarterback when he throws it, and is it above, equal to, or below his normal baseline, so they can tell whether he's on or off, and then be like, hey, you're off, what's going on, and make adjustments in real time.
And the thing that
Go ahead.
if I can add in terms of where are we so privileged right? So let's just call trading a peak performance sport, just for the sake of this example. As a sport, we are in a privileged position that we actually get to wear the technology whilst competing. There's
Yes.
no other sport in the world where they can do that because of physical reasons. You can't do it in soccer because you're running around, you're hitting the ball, you're slide tackling and all the rest. In American football, it's excellent that you mentioned this. About a year ago, I'm not because I didn't live in the US that long, I didn't really get into the culture of American football in terms of knowing the players' names and things like that. But there was a very, very famous player. I'm sure that everybody, especially the guys in the States, can Google the guy. He is making a push, and it's being supported by the medical industry, to have wearable sensors placed in the helmets of the players.
Oh, that's already happening now.
It
They
has
just
happened.
they just
Okay,
started to implement that this year. They're putting sensors in there
there you
to
are.
measure the impact of the hit on the
Yeah,
helmet,
yeah,
location.
there you are.
They've also started getting rid of and this is something that the football NFL is doing right for once, which is that they actually started listing helmets that they would consider unsafe per qualifications. Before they didn't even list them, they just said these are the helmets available. Now
Yeah,
they're
because
saying,
of
hey,
traumatic brain
helmets don't
injury. Yeah.
meet minimum impact requirements or anything like that. So it's it's already happening in so many different levels, but because of the nature of the sport, they can't wear some
Yeah.
of the technology. They can put it in the pads, they can put it in the helmets, and it can get things passively as it gets the data. But we're
You
one step
still,
ahead of that, and that we're monitoring all of your psychophysiology and biological reactions in real time.
because even regardless of the sport, and like you said, in American football, they have the chest pads and the shoulder pads and things like that. You still won't get a good reading in terms of heart rate. Even if you put the sensor on the fingertip in the gloves, you're still not going to get a good reading, because every single time that player goes to either touch someone, hit someone, touches the floor, or grabs the ball, is going to disturb dramatically the reading of the heart rate.
Yes.
Where in our sport, we can monitor with precision you whilst you are competing. And this is the profound edge that we have.
Yes. So, as we've kind of talked about, wearable technology really allows us to kind of increase the self-regulatory capacities and capabilities of our traders to that of peak performance. And you need to look at trading as a peak performance sport. Whether you're doing this part-time or full-time, it doesn't matter. You have to look at trading as a peak performance sport and something that is going to require you to learn what it is to perform at your optimal level. And so that is something that is super important. As we talked about, we can leverage the machine learning of the AI to help us generate buy and sell signals based upon the biodata, and we can manage the fund's risk as really kind of an output variable of the human performance of our traders. We've kind of talked about this, Ken. Do you have anything else you want to say in this, or do you feel pretty complete on this and like we want to move on?
We can move on because the next couple of slides go through it as well. So
Great. Okay, so let's talk about increasing your self-regulatory capacities in your trading. So, Ken, do you want to say a few things about these two charts? And just so you know, these charts show the price action of the euro dollar. These are a couple different days here, and then below this is showing one of the biometrics that we're measuring with the NeuroTrader software. So, do you want to talk about this a little bit, Ken?
also, it's very, very simple. On the left-hand side is a beginning trader, and you can see the euro USD is it's a low volatility trading period of time, but you can look at the heart rate. So for a beginning trader, low volatility, even in low volatility, there's such a sense of excitement, such a sense of fear, anxiety, that the heart is racing. Now, the problem with an unregulated heart rate like that, or a very excited heart rate, is that the more you excite yourself, all of a sudden you biologically push yourself into reacting, which means you click the button at the wrong point in time because you've hyperactivated yourself. And on the right-hand side, you see much greater volatility in price action as compared to the first chart. But look at the heart rate. The heart rate stays stable all the way across. It doesn't matter. So what is it telling us? Psychologically, it's telling us that even if price changes, it doesn't change the trader. That's the difference. Is price making you react? Is price, do you feel sometimes out of control and you react to the market because it did something? Or are you engaging with the market on your own terms? And that's what the right-hand side says. The right side of this professional trader in particular, it shows us that he's not reacting to price. He's maintaining his own posture and will only respond when he chooses so, regardless of the noise in the market. And this is where we want to get each and every one of you.
Yeah, this one's pretty clear. And if I had to guess, this is probably where they initiated a buy signal.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so pretty clear. We can actually see it in the biomarkers there. So,
and on one great, it's great that you brought that point up, because that's one of the metrics. You can visibly see why one of the other points is how our AI is able to generate buy and sell signals.
yeah, you know, if it sees this kind of bio data, it's going to feel pretty confident in letting these signals pass. But if it sees this, it's going to be warning, hey, this is not the time to be trading. And we can even have the system by itself not trade for you at that time, shut you off from trading. So this way you avoid making a lot of losing trades that you're doing right now. If you're in this state, the chances of you making a winning trade while your biorhythms are in this state, you've exponentially made it that much more difficult for you to make a good trading decision, because your biorhythms are off. That means it's affecting your brain, it's affecting your mind, it's affecting what you see in the charts and what you think is happening or going to happen. This is all being affected by your biology here, whereas this person is not being affected by any of that. They are totally in control, they're totally relaxed, and that means that what they see is much more clear, and they know, hey, I don't want to be trading right now, or hey, now's the time I want to be in the market, and there's no interference from their biology. That's huge.
That left chart of the beginning trader, that's the type of biology, that's the type of heart rate that says you go short. Say, for instance, it's the right decision, but the biology is so erratic that it's the type of person that gets out of a winning position for a losing trade, right?
Or doesn't even pull the trigger.
Well, yeah, or once you've already taken a winning situation, you actually reverse it and you go the wrong way again. You know what I mean? That's the type of erratic, out of control biology. This is what I'm trying to say is this is the type of heart rate that makes you get in a correct trade and then second guess yourself and get out, then go long and get out, and then go short and get out, and make multiple trades where there only was one position in the market.
Yes.
That's the biology.
Yes. It's clear as day. Okay, so identifying optimal and suboptimal states for trading. It's kind of reflective of the last slides, but I think we can go into this in a little bit more detail. So do you want to say a few things about this one here, Ken?
Yeah, I'll start off. This is the exact same trader, left chart and right chart. There is no difference. The difference is that on the left-hand side, that was an incorrect decision. He went the wrong way, right? So
and there's a
you can
lot of volatility in the
and so you can even see in a professional trader, we know through the biology when he's wrong, and he might not know. And the right side, is a winning trade.
and again, much greater stability and control.
Calm, relaxed heart rate, rhythmic.
There's no fear of missing out here.
No.
There's no revenge trading. This is not the biological kind of states of someone who is experiencing, fear of missing out, revenge trading, or not risking the right amount, or worried that they're going to miss a set. That's not happening here. Here, this is happening. They're experiencing all kinds of psychological states that are going to make trading really hard. The same states that you've experience that have really interfered from you from pulling the trigger when you need to, or exiting out of a trade when everything is going wrong and something's screaming inside you, this doesn't feel right, I got to get out.
And I think the key word that you used was psychological state. And let's just have a look at that just for a second. If we all do it we'll do a mental experiment. So I want everybody to do the following thing. I want you to look at the right-hand chart and think to yourself in your own mind, how would you talk to yourself if that was a picture of your mind? So the right-hand chart, if you look at the heart rate down the bottom, what sort of self-talk would you do if that was the picture of your mind? Now let's have a look at the left-hand side. How would you be if that's a representation of your self-talk, what would that talk be like when you're in a trade?
Negative. It's going to be negative.
And it'd be hectic.
Rarely ever is it positive. And, in this case, it's going to be incredibly negative. Here, it's going to be stable and clear.
And look at the speed, you know what I mean? Like, this is where we all get caught out. It's in the repetition and what, we call rumination. It's the amount of times and the speed with which you speak in your mind. Oh my God, is this going up? And for every pip, you start to speak and second guess and try to guess the next pip. And that's the biology, that's the heart rate of that type of a mindset. This is the key. This is the connection, that mind-body connection that people talk about. This is what we're showing you now. On the right-hand side, you have a very, very calm heart rate, and you have a person who is not talking very much in their own mind. They have a very, very peaceful disposition, and that's because they're in the right state, therefore they've chosen the right trade. You don't choose the right trade and then get in the state, right? The cart does not come before the horse. You have to be in the right state. When your biology is in the right state, it's reflected in the right state of mind, right? So this is a process that we're going to teach you during the program. You control your heart rate. Your heart rate then changes your self-talk, and you get quiet. And as Chris said earlier, the blood flow to your brain is optimal. Your frontal lobes go online, your executive functioning goes online, your nervous system becomes heightened and alert, your muscles become relaxed, and therefore you see opportunities more clearly than when you're talking a million miles an hour in your own head.
And you have to just ask yourself real quick before we move on here, which states are you constantly experiencing? Is your breathing, is your body relaxed? Is your mind calm and clear while you're trading the majority of the time that you're looking at the charts? Or is it excited, somewhat erratic, uncertain, indecisive, kind of negative, worried, fear, doubt, or emotions coming into play? The worse your biorhythms get off, the greater the chance you're going to start activating not just psychological responses, but emotional responses as well. And that again, just compounds trading. That just compounds the process.
The perfect word that you used, Chris, was what state are you consistently in? This is the point. Not every now and then I have a great trade, but consistently, more than 50% of the time, 60% of the time, what sort of a state are you in? This is the question, and we want to reverse that.
Yeah, we want to, and keep in mind, professional athletes experience performance anxiety just like you do, but the difference is how they manage it. This is what a professional does in managing performance anxiety, and this is what a non-professional does. And it shows in the results in your performance.
And it comes down to training. Everybody can do it.
Yes.
Everybody, because we all have a heart, we all sweat, we all have peripheral temperature, we all have a brain. We all can do it. Yes. We all can master it.
Yes. One of the other things that we talked about as a part of our hedge fund is that we're using machine learning and AI to generate additional buy and sell signals. So, Ken, do you want to talk about this a little bit further and how we're using the technology to generate the buy and sell signals? We've covered it a little bit, but I thought you'd want to kind of go into a little bit further.
So we have currently 2 PhDs working for NeuroTrader, We're about to hire another 2 PhDs, a postdoc. Yesterday, we just hired a technician. So the amount of mathematical tools that we have at our disposal is extraordinary. One of our PhDs has published a book on nonlinear control systems, and they all live here locally near me, the professors at the local university. And so we really have an extraordinary resource or resources in generating these mathematical models that are continually evolving and updating in terms of biodata price and market sentiment. Now, because I have close to 20 years experience in the financial markets, I have accumulated, as has Chris, quite a bit of knowledge about how the markets work, and we've integrated all of this into these mathematical models, and these mathematical models are producing excellent buy and sell signals, and we'll be publishing those results towards the end of this year, and then as all you guys come on board, we're going to start to publish them all the more. So it's going to be an extraordinarily exciting time. The buy and sell signals, those mathematical models are the same ones that allow us to not pass certain trades into the market, because if you go long when you should have gone short, we know that, or we learn that, the AI learns that and prevents you from doing it next time.
Okay, so managing risk using biological data. So this is kind of an extension of the last slide and some of the things we've talked about. And so do you want to say a few things about this, and then I can, and I'll say a few things, and then we can move on to...
We've covered this topic well, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to say is this is in addition to the standard banking, hedge fund, financial management, risk management models that are out there, from asset allocation, portfolio management and design, position sizing, risk management, and all those things. In addition to all those things, we're adding on that layer of managing the biological responses of the trader, and this is that step forward for the industry and for traders and fund managers.
And keep in mind, this model is somewhat flexible in the sense that there's a couple parameters that we can use the biological data to manage risk. We can set it to automatic so that once the AI has learned what are your non-optimal states for trading, that when you try and make a trade during those periods, it just doesn't let it go through. It just doesn't activate the trades. And that's one way that it can mitigate risk. And this is a very valuable function. Think about it. If you had a technology available that all those times that you were just completely off the reservation, you were not thinking clearly, you were making bad decisions, your analytics were wrong, you weren't even, you were emotional and these things, what would happen if there was a risk technology that all of a sudden say, that's not how you make your trades before, and that's not how you made winning trades before, we're not going to pass that trade through? How many losses would that have mitigated for you? So that's set at the automatic level. There's kind of like a there's like another level, which is that it can let you know that, hey, these are the states you're in right now when you tend to make bad trades, you should not be trading right now. But then the trader still has the autonomy to make that decision.
Yes.
Those things are flexible. So we can set these risk parameters in various modalities that make it much more malleable to how it is you want to trade. And so there's ways that we can do it automatically, and then there's ways where we can make it kind of sub-automatically, make that a sub-automatic process. So this
and I just want to add on to a point. I just want to add on to what you said a little earlier, and that is how many times, I know for me, I put my hand up to this question, how many times have you made the same trading mistake over and over again, and you knew that you have remade the same mistake? The difference...
Guilty as charged.
Huh?
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I've done it so many times, caught myself and said, how could you have done that again? Right? The difference here is that because we sometimes can't control our compulsions, but the machine doesn't care, because the machine just sees a pattern and it says, I know this pattern. This plus this equals stop loss being hit. It's happened and happened and happened. And even though we're emotionally driven to do the same thing all over again, the machine just turns around and says, I don't care, I'm not allowing this to happen. And that's that safety net that the technology provides. The technology can't predict future price action, but what it can predict is our patterns of behavior. And this is why, I was asked yesterday, I was sent a questionnaire for a symposium that I'm going to in London in 2 weeks' time, and they asked me a set of questions. They said, well, why don't we just go totally into algorithmic trading? And I said, because machine learning can't predict the future. It's you're using the wrong tool for the wrong goal, because the future is never the same as the past. But what machine learning can do, and is excellent at, is recognizing past patterns. And so if we see a past pattern, that this pattern equals a loss, the machine won't get emotionally involved. It's just going to do exactly what the order says it's going to be. It's very binary. It's either going to pass that order through, or it's not going to pass that order through.
It's a huge advantage. I can't even imagine how much money I would have saved over the years if I had had this technology.
No, this is a game.
Okay.
This is a game changer for the entire industry, and that is why I can clearly state that our hedge fund will be the highest producing hedge fund in the next 2 years in terms of rates of return, consistent.
So there are kind of 3 stages to the process of you trading for us and trading for our hedge fund. And we're going to talk about how you can apply and what are the qualifications and all that in a few slides. But we want to talk about kind of the stages that you're going to go through when you become a trader for us and what that process is going to be like. So stage 1, Ken, do you want us kind of kick this one off?
Yeah, so stage 1 is, from our side of things, is integrating the trader into our technology. It's integrating it into our technology and into our culture. The culture is one of peak performance. That's what we do. So as I said earlier, peak performance has 2 things. Number 1, it has a responsibility on us in order for us to guide you as best and as quickly as possible to consistent, and that's the key word, consistent peak performance, right? We don't want any one-shot wonders. We don't want. We are looking at a different model from performing great one month, really, really bad the next month. We want peak performing every single day, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. The process is that once you apply into the program, we end up taking that process of educating and customizing you to trading with a wearable device, learning about what biodata does to you individually with certain securities, and amping up that integration between you and the markets. And you'll see that in the course. In terms of cognitive functioning, it's there's a certain amount of data that we can each consume per second, per hour, per day, right? And then we get information overload. And so what the program is built so that every single week, every single month, we slowly and gradually build you up to a peak performing state. If we were to increase that growth curve and speed it up, the only thing that we're going to do is we're going to build on foundations where the concrete has not cured, and after the first or second or third floor, the building's going to collapse. So we're going to give information, have you digest it and assimilate it, and then keep on moving that forward and get you to that point in time where 6 months down the course, we want to see everybody having consistent performance results so that we can very, very quickly move you into trading with live funds and start to perform for a real hedge fund. And start to earn a living from it.
Okay, so the second stage of this process, once we've kind of built that in play and we've now have baselines, we understand your behavior models, the AI understands you, you're fully integrated into the technology and culture, you know how to use it, what kind of feedback it's giving you. At this point, we're now starting to really leverage you into the process of building your portfolio and allocating assets. So we're not, and we're going to talk about this more later, but we really don't care what markets you trade. That we're kind of market agnostic to in that sense. What we care about is consistent behavioral responses to the market, and that's stuff we're going to teach you how to do. Once we've gotten you to this place, then we want to start finding out, okay, what are the best markets that you perform well in biologically and that the AI suggests, hey, you trade really well in this, and which ones you don't. So we're going to start building a portfolio that's tailored to you. You don't even have to really think about it so much. Yes, you can say, hey, I want to trade this and this and this, and we'll say, fine, trade it. And then after we have enough data, we're going to tell you, hey, you're outperforming here and you're underperforming here. So let's start rebalancing your portfolio and giving you assets to trade that specific portfolio. This is something similar that I do with my students at Second Skies. So after they've completed 100 trades with us, which is what I would consider a minimum number of trades to get a decent baseline going, or at least a pseudo baseline going, then I analyze all my students' performance and I use 20 plus metrics to do it. And I'm telling them exactly, hey, these are your top performing instruments. You're underperforming here. These are the situations you perform well in. These are the ones that you don't. The data is pointing to this. And then we adjust it based upon that. The thing is with NeuroTrader, this changes it. So a lot of people, after they do that session with me privately, their trading performance changes. I've 7 out of 10 students who do this session with me. I give them specific instructions. You need to do this, this, change this, keep doing this, and do that. And then they do that. And 7 out of 10 of them will actually see real change in their performance. And the other 3, there's another variable we're missing. So we go back, we analyze again, and we figure out what's going on, and then we adjust it from there. I do a pretty darn good job. I consider myself a reasonably intelligent guy. I've been able to spot things just from people's MyFX book account numbers, patterns in their behavior that they don't even have to tell me the style of trading that they're doing, the time frames, or what their major behavioral challenges or strengths are. I can see it in the data. And it's changed the way a lot of them trade completely. I've taken people from losing to break even and from break even to profitable. And I've done this again and again and again. And the thing about it is that's just me and my brain. The AI here is thousands of times smarter than me. So in other words, in this stage of the process and throughout the entire process, you're basically getting exposed to a smarter version of me and Ken that's always watching your performance and always analyzing your data to give you the best tips so that you can improve. And this is one area that kind of the AI really goes above and beyond because it's doing this through the biological data. So Ken, do you want to say anything else about this right now in terms of how we, in terms of this stage of their experience?
Just 2 points, and that is that, yes, the job that you do is extraordinary, and the processing speed of a computer and algorithms is faster than what we can, do ourselves in terms of numbers. But the addition of the biodata is that extra metric which really allows us to achieve higher rates of return faster than anything else. And the only other thing, the umbrella of all of this developing the portfolio and asset allocation, is that we take all of the traders that are within our hedge fund and we manage that entire cluster of traders as a fund, as a portfolio, with which we then publish those results to institutions to show the types of results that we're achieving as a fund. Because it's a totally different thing to manage a portfolio yourself, and it's a different thing to manage a set of portfolios as an entire hedge fund, and that's what our technology allows us to do.
Yes. And with that, because we are interfacing constantly, with our connections in the industry with various institutions, Then the third stage of someone who joins us and trades for us and becomes a trader is the institutional onboarding experience. So as I've said, Ken and I have a lot of contacts and partners in the industry, and at a certain point in this process, we're going to start interfacing with institutions directly with our traders and building those relationships and getting capital. So we're basically connecting you directly with the institutions. So Ken, do you want to say a few things about this and what this part of the stage in their process as they come trade for us is going to be like?
I think what you said is spot on. It's the ability to integrate the liquidity from larger liquidity providers, prime brokers, directly with banks, to be market making with the banks. It also does include having organizations come and partner with our fund as well. It also includes us actually onboarding our entire technology with other institutions as well, so that, you know, our fund and you guys that become a part of it, we will be the showcase that we're going to be presenting to institutions around the world. And this is that other side of that institutional onboarding, where we're actually going to onboard them on into our technology.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. So with that being, I mean, it's such an unique opportunity. You know, this aspect of it for the traders that join and trade for us, you're getting a chance to trade from home, which is almost non-existent with any other hedge fund. We're monitoring your bio data and providing advanced analytics to help adjust your portfolio. You know, a lot of people ask, what instruments and pairs should I trade? You know, what should I do this and how should I do risk like this? This is now all done automatically and constantly in real time. And
And all
then
you have to do
obviously
is
connecting
focus
you
on
with
trading.
institutions. Yeah, you just focus on that. We'll handle the rest. That's our job. And
Yeah.
so it's just such a unique opportunity.
And I just want to mention that because it just came out. It's that why do institutions have better results than retail traders? It's because of that institutional setting. It's because of the support structure. It's because of the back office functionality and features that they actually have. And this is what you guys are having. The worst thing about being a retail trader is being on your own, not having the resources that you need, not just financial, but even technological resources that you don't have. And you're going up against traders that are trading for multi-billion-dollar institutions that have budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars for technology. And you're standing there with an MT4 platform.
Yes. We're giving you chances. We're creating very low barriers of entry for you to have an increased set of tools and support system and advantages that you wouldn't have on your own. You know, I've talked to so many traders over the years, and a lot of them are like, feel that they're alone, that they're the only people that are having these experiences right now. That, gosh, you know, it would help if I could talk to other people about these things, if I could have somebody really analyze my performance. You know, and a lot of people say, hey, Chris, you know, can I have you like watch all my trading? And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. You know, that was under the current format, but under this new format, you get me and you get a smarter version of me for a completely different barrier of entry. It's just, yeah, if this was there
And
10 years ago,
I think the extraordinary thing that also we've just raised now is this thing about everybody says that well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people in the retail trader community that says that they're undercapitalized, right? But that point is very, very, very valid. But we really need to expand what we're really talking about. People will turn around and say, oh, I just need a bigger trading account. No, that's not what you're really telling me. What you're really telling me is a much, much bigger picture of that feeling of being undercapitalized. What you're really telling me is that you feel outgunned. You know what I mean? You've walked into you know, World War II with a water pistol, and that's exactly what it is. And you don't have the technical resources in terms of software. There's no chance. You know, an MT4 platform is not a trading platform. It's simply an order execution platform. It's nothing else. So you're going up with low technology, you're going with low support in terms of mentorship, colleagues, psychological support. So human resources support, you're down on a 1 to 10 against everybody else. In terms of software and hardware, in terms of your computer processing power of your PC, as opposed to what the banks have with co-location, everything else, you're most probably half a point out of 10. And in terms of capital, yes, you're outgunned there as well. With what we've created, and we have created it for the retail traders, is that we're providing all those things, plus we're moving the whole industry in that new direction, which is the biodata. And this is where we start to evening out the playing field, where we can capitalize on your strengths as a human being, and every single human being has unlimited potential. I think we all believe that. Now we have the capacity through wearable technology to unleash that unlimited potential, to get you well regulated, to get you consistent, to get you performing at your optimal best. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're giving it 6 months to start to train you up to that, give you the back office support, give you the financial support, and we will take care of the back office in terms of position sizing, risk management, portfolio asset allocation, and we'll push the orders into the market. And everybody,
in other words, you get to become a pure trader. You just get to trade markets, and
Yep.
that's what you do. You come to your workstation and you're
That's
trading
it.
a specific set of markets every day, and we help you find what are the best markets for you and what are the worst markets for you and what you
That's
need to
the
do to become a
definition of a
peak performer.
professional. That's the
Yeah.
definition of a professional. Even a general practitioner, an MD, does not do the, booking in people during the day. He doesn't send out the invoices. He has a secretary who does that. Why? Because he's got to focus and specialize on the one thing that he does. Cristiano Ronaldo does not clean his own soccer boots. He does not wash his own jerseys. He doesn't do a whole heap of things. All of that stuff is taken away from him so that he can focus his time and energy on one thing only, and that's performing effectively when he gets on the pitch, and that's why he's paid $40–50 million a year. The same for you guys. We need to, and I've spoken to traders who struggle letting go of that control. Oh, but I want to do that, and I want to do this, but you're not going to be successful because you're wearing too many hats. It doesn't work. It only works. Professional trading only works. I do that every day. I only care about executing the trade, nothing else. And that's
Yeah.
where we want to take everybody.
You get a chance to be a trader and a peak performer, and it just, yeah, we're giving you a chance to move into an outfit and an infrastructure that will do so much of the work for you that you can now just focus on charts and focus on trading. That's it, which is what you want to do. That's what you want to do. That's
I
why you
remember,
started this whole thing.
I remember I was at an event in Long Beach, California, with a whole group of traders there at a law firm, big nice do, and everybody kept on talking, same old similar type of trading type of a talk, and I had to interject, and I simply asked, why are they trading? I mean, like the topic was on everything to do with trading apart from one thing, more or less, through my perspective. The one thing that they weren't talking about was executing and making money every day. And I simply asked them, I said, I think everybody's missing the point. And then people started asking me, well, how do you trade? Why do you trade? What decisions do you make? I said, my decisions are driven by one thing only. That's executing a trade that day as best as I can, and everything else takes care of itself. I don't care about this indicator, that indicator, all these things I don't care about. I only care about entering at the right time and exiting at the right time. Two things that my brain has to think about. And it alleviates so much stress and pressure in my life that I feel energized to trade every day. It's so simple. We overcomplicate it, and this is what this program is going to do. Because I know Chris and I have the same philosophy. Simplify everything. Take away the load and just do one thing exceptionally well. Enter the market and exit the market properly. Two things.
So we're getting a lot of questions. And so what I'd like to do is kind of move through these slides here and then really kind of jump into the Q&A program or the Q&A part of the session so we can really answer a lot of these questions and expand upon this. So these are the 4 main requirements to join our hedge fund. And so the first is you have to complete the NeuroTrader program, the Peak Performance program. And so with that being said, you know, we have another video on the Peak Performance program. We did that, I believe, a week or 2 ago. And what we'll do is when we send out the recording of this webinar, when it's done, we'll also send a link to the prior one. But we have 3 tiers of the NeuroTrader Peak Performance program. That's tier 1, 2, and 3. And the main difference between those is how intensely do you want to do this and how much feedback do you want? Do you want feedback weekly and monthly, or monthly and weekly? Do you want it just weekly and sometimes daily, or do you want it every single day? You know, or do you want to say, hey, I'm going to be at the markets every single day and I need feedback every single day and I need it all. And so that really is, you just have to complete one of these tiers of the program. Second, over a 6-month period, you have to achieve at least on a demo or live account. Good luck trying to do that with a hedge fund. Go to them with a demo account and see what happens. But with us, you can trade for us. So a demo or a live account, achieve 1% plus of profitability over that entire 6-month period. The third part of the requirements to join a hedge fund is creating consistent behavioral profiles. That's not just when you join us, but that's also during this 6-month period that you are trading. So if you're trading for us for 6 months, you join us, we need to see that you are consistent in what you're executing. So, hey, you say, I'm going to trade these 4 pairs, then that's what you're trading. That's a consistent behavioral profile. I'm going to risk 1% per trade, and the majority, if not almost all your trades are 1% risk per trade. That's a consistent behavior profile. That's what we're interested in. We're not necessarily looking at, hey, you're making 10, 20% or anything like that. We just need to know that you can be a little bit profitable, just enough, but that you're really consistent underneath. And if you're not now, that's okay. We're going to teach you how to be that. So
Yeah,
that by the time,
that's the only thing that I wanted to add to the excellent description of this slide, Chris, was that we come from the perspective that most of you guys will be lacking in consistency, right? My experience, and I'm sure Chris would support that, most retail traders have a problem with consistency. And so we don't expect you to come here with great consistency. We expect most of you to be very bad at it. Our job, right? Our job is to move you through that process of being an inconsistent trader into a consistent peak performing trader. That's our job. We expect you, because if you guys were already consistent, you wouldn't be listening to this webinar. We understand what the industry is like. Chris was telling me numbers, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Chris, the numbers that you were giving me about the statistics of retail traders in the industry. Yeah? And I'm sure, Chris, it'd be nice if you shared them to the guys now. But so we're aware of what is plaguing most of the retail trader industry. This is the solution it's that we're providing to you guys in order to get you to where we are. We know how difficult the road is, and we feel obliged, and it might sound corny, but it's true. We feel obliged in order to give back and to develop this program and to offer it to people who are like what we used to be like.
So, okay, wow, there's a lot of questions pouring in now that we got to this slide, which is not surprising. So,
what are the stats?
Let's get through this. Let's get through this, and we only got a couple more slides, and then we can get into all these questions. We can just dive into it. Some really good questions here. So, the last other requirement is you can't have more than 1 month during this 6-month period of a double-digit DD drawdown. So, in other words, you can have 1 month where you like, hey, you have a 10% drawdown. Okay, you can have it once, but if you have 2 months of that, that's out. So that means you're going to have to control risk. It's super, super important. And so we're kind of creating some goalposts for you here. Make sure you control your risk, and you need to have, one of the things I talk about in Second Skies Forex is having a max risk per month. So you're going to need to implement this in there. And there's a reason why we do that. And the statistics are pretty clear that if you have more than 1 month of a double-digit drawdown, your chances of bringing your account back to break even are like 3%. It's exponentially for 1 month. Fine, you can do it, but as soon as you get that second month, your chances go way down that you will not recover.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
it
important.
talks about an underlying behavioral problem.
Yes, yes. It means you're not really controlling risk that well. You're letting risk management kind of be dictated by your emotions and your whims in the moment,
Yeah.
and not the decisions that a professional would make in that
Yeah.
moment. The good thing is we're going to teach you how to control this in our program as well. So, okay, so joining our NeuroTrader program, again, we've already done a video on this. A lot of you may have seen this video that we've done already. It was put on our website. It's on our website right now. We'll put the link on this after this webinar, or towards the end of this webinar. I'll give you the link to that recording so you can see just about, a couple a video about the NeuroTrader program. But it's a monthly subscription service. We have tier 1 and tier 2 are 6-month contracts or terms, and the tier 3, which is the most advanced, the people are getting feedback every single day, getting constant feedback from us, analytics, everything. That's a 12-month program. The developing trader, which is tier 1, is $149 a month. The intermediate is $499 a month, and the professional is $699 a month. As it stands right now, because we've already announced this about a couple months ago, we've had a lot of people enrolling since then. As of right now, we only have 8 seats left for tier 3. Originally, we had 10 seats only, but we had so many requests and way beyond what we expected that we said, okay, we're expanding tier 3. But we only have 8 seats left for it. That's like the absolute max we can take. We have 20 seats left for tier 2, and 26 left for tier 1. So that's all we're taking right now. And enrollment closes on December 31st, or if we fill all the seats up. If we fill all the seats up next week, then enrollment's closed and that's it, we're done. So there are not many positions left for this, and we've had over 600 people register for this webinar. And there's 150 of you in attendance right now. So Ken, do you want to say anything about this, or do you feel like we can kind of just, that's pretty straightforward and
I
we can
think it's
move
perfect.
forward?
I think that's
Okay,
perfect.
so a couple things that you might have already asked questions about, but we're going to state a few things here, just kind of show you how the model works, and then we're going to get into your questions. So each one of you that gets a job with us receives a proprietary capital allocations that can be anywhere between 10,000 and 10 million USD. It just depends upon your performance, how long you've been with us, what are your numbers showing, what kind of capital levels have you been shown that you can handle, but we have the funding available. So you can be trading quite a sizable account with us in no time. You get 20% of the profits on all your proprietary capital applications. So let's say we allocate $10 million to you. You've been with us for a couple of years. You're now trading a $10 million account with us. If you do a 20% return on that, that's a $2 million profit. You make 20% on that, on $2 million, which is $400,000 a year working from home. So that is how the model works. Is there anything you need to say on this, Ken, or do you feel it's pretty straightforward, or
No,
we covered
for me,
everything?
it's straightforward.
Okay. So that is how you can trade for our hedge fund. Now we have loads of questions here, and so I'd like to get into these questions now. This is that portion. If you haven't asked your question, go ahead and ask the question now in the question section. We will get to it. But let's just kind of go down this, one by one, and just start cranking these out. So Greg has a question. Any examples of where this tech is being used? In terms of the trading world, it isn't being used anywhere. We are the first. Is wearable technology like this being used in other industries? A few. There is air traffic controllers that is having their biodata monitored. There are certain athletes that have non-impact, non-contact situations where they can use this wearable technology, but nowhere is it being used in the trading world. We are the first to do it. If there is somebody using it out there in the way that we're using it, it's probably a private hedge fund that's keeping it under the hood because they don't want it to get out. That's, but I've looked at all the research. I've checked and see what's going on in the industry. I've checked in the neuroscience industry and wearable technology and see if any of those reports are bleeding into the trading world, and then what those people are saying about it. I've only found one person, and he's super tight-lipped about it, which tells me he's doing it privately, and he works for a hedge fund. So that's that's the only instance I could find of that. Other than that, I don't know of anybody else. Ken, you don't know anybody else that's using it in the industry, or do you?
No, just it's research based now still.
Yeah. So, okay, next question from John. I've used the HeartMath system. Can I use this with your program rather than buy our NeuroEdge device? No, because it's not built, nor it can interface with our software and our technology. But keep in mind, when you're joining our program, your fees aren't just for the device and then that's it. Your fees are for access to the AI, the server, the analytic capacities, Ken and myself, the peak performance coaching sessions you get with us. But yeah, right now, this is the only physical device that I know of that is partnered with ours in our software and technology. Okay, interesting question. What if I'm nearly or fully algo trading? So I'm going to answer this, and then Ken, maybe you'll want to provide an answer for this. So first off, I know a lot of algorithmic traders. I know a lot of HFT traders. And the bottom line is that even if you are fully algo or nearly algo, there's still always a human involved in the process. If you go to any particular bank and you were to walk into their quant office, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a head of that team there of traders. And before he allows them to unleash their quants and algorithms on the market, he's sitting there looking at the market himself, analyzing the behavior of the market, and then saying yay or nay whether they should be turning on the algos or not. And he's doing that because he has a certain experience that can't be quantified, but it can be measured, and his biological data can be measured. I don't know specifically about your fully algo setup, but I've never met any trader on the planet that's had a single algorithm that they've created once and then they just launched it and never had to change it. That algorithm is constantly having to be updated. Some of the variables in that algorithm stay and some of it are changed as the market evolves over time. And so, with that being said, there's always a human present involved, even if somebody is fully out, to turn that thing on or off, decide whether it's fully on or off or not. And so, with that being said, I don't see how this wouldn't be a benefit to you because you are the one who's creating the algorithm. And if your biorhythms are off while you're creating the algorithm, then you're building something based on faulty thinking and analysis. Beyond that, that's my perspective on it. Ken, do you have anything you want to say on that particularly?
I totally agree with what you said. In the mathematics world, it's called heuristics. You add to the algorithm certain things that you, to use psychology talk, believe. A belief is 10 pip stop loss. A belief is a trailing stop loss at X%. These are heuristics. They're things that we add on to the mathematical model, and therefore, what that means psychologically is that we're bringing in our own perceptual biases. That means, like you said, Chris, anybody who's developing an algorithm sits there and says, I think that based upon this data, we should have a stop loss or a trailing stop loss of X. Okay, but that's your perception. What if you just had an argument with your wife that morning? How good is your perception going to be? What if you're super, super tired because you've been working, non-stop for the last 2 weeks trying to push this algorithm out? How good is your performance? How good is your biology and your executive functioning going to be to assess the market and to add those heuristics to it? My question to the question back to, what was the gentleman's name who wrote the question?
Greg had this question.
The question back would be, what sort of success rate is the algorithm doing? If it's performing exceptionally well, and if you don't think there's room for improvement, then there's no need for the technology. If there's room for improvement, then it's not the mathematics, because the mathematics simply does what math does. It's very, very binary. It does something or it does something else. Then the point has to be that you have to start to regulate yourself and be in a peak state when you're developing those algorithms. And that just supports what you said, Chris.
Yes. Okay, next question, which is also along this lines. I'm developing EAs in my free time. If the strategies prove to be profitable in my real account, can I apply the EAs to your hedge fund? So again, the qualifications, whether you have EAs or not, Francisco, are the same. So yes, we're open to having algorithms. And some people who want to trade EA specifically, we're totally fine with that, but you're still going to have to go through the program. You can't just like build them on your own and then be like, here you go, and can I jump in? No, we want all of our traders to have the same training. Again, same thing and Ken just kind of answered this, you're building the EAs on your own. How are you doing that? Based on what analysis, based on what biological states you're in. So regardless, you're going to have to go through the program. But yes, if they demonstrate that, then we would be happy to evaluate those as possibly being used by our system. Claudio says along the wearable technology stuff, Rafael Nadal has launched a sensor inside of his racket. So you're seeing it in other industries that this is just going to continue to infiltrate more and more.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Somebody asked, do we get the recording? Yes. So the recording will be made available in a few days, and we'll announce it and email it to everybody once it's available. Anthony has a question. What is the high and low in both the y-axis? It's probably one of the other charts that you were looking at. We're talking about the biological rhythms, but they would have, on the top part of the chart was the price action. That just would have been the pips, on that particular pair. So whatever the high and low was. And then on the bottom axis, there was heart rate, skin conductance, and temperature. So those were the different variables that were being measured on that. David has a question that is kind of outside the scope of this. So David, it's kind of part of this, but kind of outside the scope of this webinar. So David, I will email you personally. Go ahead and email me after this webinar is done, and Ken and I will personally answer this particular question for you because it's kind of outside the scope of what we're focusing on here. Mike has a question. A professional trader would accept that he or she is wrong, though, and would not react to being wrong. So, Mike, that's kind of an inaccurate description of a professional. That's basically saying that professionals always make the best decisions and they don't make flawed decisions. That's just not accurate. It's not accurate at all. Every professional experiences performance anxiety and therefore is subject to making bad decisions, especially when their biology and psychophysiology is off. Are they someone who would accept that they're wrong in a trade quicker, faster? Yes, but that doesn't mean that they're always doing that and that they're doing it on every single trade. So for every trade that they're not doing that on, they're leaking in terms of their performance. That doesn't happen with us because our AI is monitoring that in real time, and we're able to find those moments where they are making bad decisions and they're not in the right biological state. Maybe they're accepting it, but they're accepting it way too late. Maybe their biology is getting them to a point where it's making it harder for them to accept it, and by the time they accept it, they're already almost at their stop loss. So that kind of statement has an assumption behind it that professional traders always make the right decision, and that's just not that's not an accurate description of professionals in any peak performance sport. Ken, do you want to say anything about this before we move on to that one? It's a good question.
I want to give an analogy that came into my head. Imagine a tennis player. So, Roger Federer and all the greats have missed and have double faulted at the Grand Slams, right, in the finals. They've done that too. Cristiano Ronaldo has missed penalties. But imagine now a situation where the tennis player is about to serve, right? And everybody's seen a tennis player as he throws the ball up, will sometimes not even swing at it because he knows that the ball toss is slightly wrong, or the wind has slightly pushed the ball not out of where it's perfect for him to hit it, right? And they don't swing, and it's not a fault. The ball just drops back down to the floor, bounces, and they start all over again, right? Now, why is a fault a fault? It's because at that point in time, the tennis player took the shot anyway. Right. Now, let's imagine that we can, on that picture, we can superimpose a graph, right? A square, so vertical and horizontal lines, and we can map where the ball's going, where it needs to be for a perfect serve, and what is the variance on either side, up and down, of where that ball can be for the tennis player to serve a perfect serve. Now, this is what they do in tennis now in terms of this sort of technology, right? Now, imagine that you could actually do that in competition. The tennis player would never make a false, right? And he certainly wouldn't make a double fault because he would know exactly at what height, elevation the ball needs to be, and he would only strike it at that point in time. This is what we have the ability in trading to do. This is why we said that we are in a privileged situation with our sport, that, as Chris said, the AI can detect what they can do in tennis, but you're not allowed to because they're the rules of the game. But in our sport, we can detect when is a sweet spot and when is not a sweet spot by reinforcing that learning process for the algorithm.
Yeah, and keep in mind, faults and double faults do happen. And these are people that have done tens of thousands of serves before, and they still make mistakes. So we're, yes, there's a professional who's going to make less faults than someone who's a beginning tennis player, but the bottom line is he's still making faults, and those cost him points,
and it still hurts.
Cost him games.
And it still hurts.
Yeah.
A soccer player misses a penalty during a game, he still hurts for doing it. You still see him look in the air. You still see him grab his own hair. You still see the sadness on his face.
Yeah. Okay, so Stefano has a question. If I'm lucky enough to start trading for the hedge fund, would I be still allowed to trade my own private account on your regulated broker? Yes, you can totally trade that on your own, no problem at all. You don't have to be trading everything with us and not trading anything outside of us. No, you can trade that. You can trade your own private accounts. So that's not an issue there.
So the only disadvantage that you're going to find, yes, you can. The disadvantage that you're going to have is you're not going to be able to replicate the orders that are pushed through by the AI.
Yeah, so when you're doing that on your own, and you're trading on your own private account.
You will be able to copycat the good trades that you're processing through NeuroTrader. You will be able to process that on a secondary account on another screen, right? Just by clicking the buy or sell button. You won't be able to copy the trades that are being pushed through automatically by the AI.
Yeah, that's the only difference there. Rajesh says, do we have to clear any exams like Series 3? No, we don't have any exam requirements at this point in time. We may in the future, but not right now. Gerardo has a question. This is going to be a question for both of us here, Ken. So, will you ever reach a point in which the biofeedback is no longer needed? In other words, at some point, you are totally trained to self-regulate your own biology, stay calm, and see opportunities and risks more clearly. Or once you stop the program, you return to your old self. So, Ken, let me do just a short one on this, and then I'll let you jump in. But so first off, ask yourself, does Cristiano Ronaldo, who's probably one of the top 2-3 players in the world, does he have a coach and still get feedback right now, even though he's probably one of the most elite players and there was some of the best skills out there? Yes. And how trained is he? He's as trained as they could possibly come. He's number 1, 2, or 3 in terms of training in the world. And so is there some sort of point where Cristiano Ronaldo's like, I no longer need practice? No, because the level, and I can speak this from a personal experience as an athlete. If you get to a certain athletic skill, there's no point on where you've hit the end. That depth of that skill is infinite. There's no point in that where you need to just stop practicing. Michael Jordan, Rafael Nadal, all these others have all these other elite players and performers in the field constantly practice and train. So it's not a question of whether you are trained, because that training goes deeper and deeper and deeper. It never stops. And to think that all of a sudden that practice stops, ask Michael Jordan if all of a sudden at a certain point after winning his 3rd, 4th, or 5th championship and so many MVP awards and records, was there some point where he was like, I don't need to practice anymore? It just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
What is the name of the number one quarterback in the US? Chris, you mentioned him a couple of times.
Tom Brady, he's probably the best quarterback in the game right now.
I watched an interview on CNN or something like that about him after he had won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right afterwards, he went to the field and went practicing the mistakes he made during the game that very day.
Yeah. He's an excellent example of what it is to be a professional. The difference is that he's elite. He's, one of the top 5 of all time. And so he's showing you, hey, as someone who's demonstrated what it is to be at one of the top 5 quarterbacks over the last 100 years, he's demonstrated what it is to be a professional and what it is to be a competitor. And, there are certain things about him where I don't necessarily see him as incredibly wise, but when it comes to being a professional and a competitor, he's like near the pinnacle of what it is to be that. And, I'm not saying you have to be Tom Brady, but we're saying that we want you to build some of these qualities and characteristics to go to your highest potential of where you want to be.
The point is
I'm
that
not saying the dream. I'm just saying, hey, whatever is your highest potential, whatever that is.
The point is
that's what we're using.
But the point is that we're trying to make is that there are certain principles that are true for every person, regardless of what they've done, who have succeeded. I'm reading a book now written by John Wooden, right? And it was a few years before he passed away. So this is really the culmination of like 70 years of coaching, right? And he constantly is reiterating that it is a daily routine that you consistently are always improving. And even when his top players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and people like this, right, who he coached, later went in, retired from basketball because, they were too old for the sport, right? They still maintain in their next endeavor this process of constant improvement. And the other thing they're going to add to everyone, which I'm sure we've all done, is using this tech. Yes, you will trade better over the course of the next 6 months and year and 2 years, and for the 4 years that I've been using biofeedback technology and trading now, of course I can trade much better and not put the device on than what I ever have before in my life. But the point is, yes, that's fine today, and it will be fine tomorrow, and it most probably be fine for this week. But you will see that because I've let go of my peak performance routine, as a principle, I've changed my principle now. That means I'll turn around and say, well, I just don't need to do this either. And I just don't need to do this either. And that's the other side of the peak that we don't want to go into. And that's where your performance starts to decrease because you're no longer doing the behaviors that got you to the top. So why would you want to change your routine, which got you to the top, now that you're at the top? If you change your routine, there's only one place to go, and that's go down. And the best analogy is going to the gym. If you go to the gym and you're unfit and you're out of condition and your body doesn't look like you really wanted to, and after the course
He's talking about me, by the way. He's talking about me, right?
After the first 3 or 6 months, you start to see a change. Now, would you stop going to the gym because you've now got immediate gratification? Yeah. What will happen to your body? The same goes with your mind. The same goes, we're still talking about biology. We're still talking about muscle tension. We're still talking about reaction times. Reaction time in trading is exceptionally important, and Olympic athletes practice reaction time, and so do we, right? The ability to know when to press the trigger, that's reaction time. Performance anxiety is second guessing reaction time, right? And so reaction time is a biological, a psychophysiological thing. If you stop practicing and exercising that neurological pathway, and you stop exercising the nervous system from responding on a timely and well-measured basis, you lose that ability. You get sloppy. So why
It's
would
one of the
you
main
not use it?
principles of Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
No,
saying
you're
it's one of the main principles of neuroplasticity. Neurons that fire together wire together. That means if you're using them and constantly executing those neurons, then they will fire together and become a habit and a pattern. But the corollary of that statement is neurons that fire apart wire apart. So if you're not activating those neural circuits or biological circuits, those circuits starts to decouple and unwire themselves, and they're no longer a habit and a skill available. So, yeah. Next question, Kundan here says, so how does this software actually improve my skills of identifying good trade steps? I can see how it can check whether my bio data is in a good state to be trading, but how does it help me improve my skills in identifying good setups? So included in the program, Kundan, which we talked about in the prior webinar, is that you actually get training as well. There's my two courses come with it. The price action course and the advanced traders mindset course come with it. And those two courses are dedicated to teaching you how to find good trading setups. So we have that skill that we teach you in there, but then you combine that skill with the bio data and the AI, and it's helping improving your learning process. And so if you could have asked me whether I could have repeated my learning process the way I started trading back in 2001, or I could have started with this program that would have helped me regulate my bio data and psychophysiology while I was in the learning process, I would have taken that. I would pay millions of dollars for that opportunity because I would be
would have
learning
cut
with
the
the right
learning time
mindset
in
and bio data
half.
from the
Would have
ground.
cut
Yeah,
the
you're
learning
learning it from the ground up.
would have cut the learning time in half.
Yeah, easily. Dario has a question. With this program, what happens to the measurements if we have to go AFK, like go eat or to the loo or break or something like that? So Ken, do you want to answer this one real briefly?
It's easy. You just press pause on the computer on the NeuroTrader platform, and you come back.
Yeah, and it stops recording the data.
Yep.
And then you reset it when you come back. So.
Yep.
Okay, David has a question. It's kind of along the lines of the whole EA and algo thing. So he's basically saying, wouldn't it be faster and easier to develop a sophisticated eBay with AI, adapting to changing market conditions, short and long term, first and foremost, trading 100% emotionless? So we've kind of answered that, but
Yes, no.
you know, and he follows up with the question: is there any respective studies proving higher probability that human traders with their trading systems, habits, and psychology in the past will stand the test of time trading 5 years from now? First off, there's no study that can tell us about what the market will be in 5-10 years from now because nobody knows. It's completely indeterminate. It's completely open.
But
It's
the best,
nobody.
Chris,
The HAL
the best way,
9000 can predict that.
the best, no, but the best, the simplest, the most direct answer to the question is this: that over the course of the next 6 months, starting February 11th till August, we will be the first firm in the world to publish the results of a substantial biodata-based trading project, the first of its kind in the world, with people traders in totally different regions, with the largest set of traders that's been known to any form of study, whether it's MIT, Cambridge, or Harvard, which have all done studies on this. This will be the largest study, and we will, because again, we have evidence, over the course of the last 9 years of what is going to be proven during this program. And so, yeah, we will be the first people to prove that without doubt, peak performance in trading is far superior than standard AI-based machine learning trading.
And keep in mind, Dave, and we kind of mentioned this before. So, if you look at, say, the World Cup futures and forex championships, the top 10 is more often human than algo. No algo has beaten the best human trader in terms of their performance. And there's never been an algorithm to date that's ever been able to replicate what some of the best traders, human traders with virtually no technology have ever done.
Yes.
Gann or Jesse Livermore. Jesse Livermore took $5 and turned it into $100 million. No algorithm has ever done that before. ever. And considering the computing power we have
Richard
now
Dennis.
versus what he had, it's no contest, you know. So, you know, it's not that AIs and algorithms don't have their place,
Paul
but
Tudor Jones.
yeah, but Tudor Jones, you know, before his last 2 years, no algo has been able to beat that. So, you know, if you think about 2007, you know, there were a lot of HFT firms and algos that were doing great. As soon as the crash happened in 07, 08, what happened to all those algorithms? They all lost money and got crushed. Why? Because there's no algorithm that can count for an infinite amount of conditions or
Correct.
results. And there's an infinite amount of possibilities in terms of volatility and liquidity that, you know, in terms of price action and pricing, that is always present in the markets. There's no algorithm that can count for that.
I had this conversation with our PhD the other day, and the counter argument always is, you know, Google and the game Go, but the answer is exactly what you said, Chris, and that's why it's such a pertinent point to any person who talks about machine learning, AI, and its effectiveness in the financial markets. Machine learning, it can process data faster than a human if big capital, big I, big F, right? Capital. If the parameters are finite, right? It doesn't matter if there's 100 different possibilities or if it's 100,000 or 10 million, right? The machine will do it faster than the man. But the financial markets are not finite in terms of where price can go.
Infinite.
And this is where only the human being intuitively can respond outside of the parameters that the machine learning has been programmed. Right? You can have a machine learning and it only has one algorithm. You can have machine learning that has 10,000 algorithms. But a black swan event or an anomaly is when an event happens which is not part of those 10,000 parameters. And this is the financial markets. This is the financial markets.
Yeah. Okay, so Peter is asking, how many traders are you looking to recruit? As many that come through our program and can demonstrate that they meet the qualifications to do that. Is there a limited number of people that can join for this first launching of this program? Yes, we're only taking so many seats. The next time around, the seats will get larger as our infrastructure builds, but we're only taking a limited number of seats for this particular.
The barrier of entry will be higher later because the fee to get in will be higher. Because the demand will be greater and our supply will, in comparison to the demand will be lower. So the prices will never be like this low.
Yes. Presumably we trade from our own existing location. That's correct. Kundan says, you said there was 3 tiers. What if I want the best tier, but I'm only executing 2 to 3 swing trades max per fortnight? Would the top tier be overkill for me? Ken, what's your thoughts on this one?
Depending
I have an idea, but
well, there's 2 things that I'll say. My first question to him would be, what sort of performance results are you currently getting doing that trading? Are you perhaps under trading because you're afraid to trade every single day, which is normal? It's just performance anxiety. And if you if you are trading only, you know, once every 2 weeks, and it is because you have some form of performance anxiety, you don't want to expose yourself to the volatility of the markets and the emotional ups and downs as on a daily or, you know, on a daily basis, then if you want to get there sooner rather than later, then it's good to have a coach, either I or Chris, that you're corresponding every single day in order to move your trading into where you want it to be. And if you're not getting the performance results from your current system and you need that extra attention and you want to start to learn more about your own biology and get very deep into that and speed up the process of understanding and applying peak performance, then I would go for the 3rd tier. Otherwise, go for the 2nd tier.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. John is saying your profit share is inverse to Top Step, Earn a Trade, and 1UP. I realize you provide more feedback with teaching, but the profit share seems very low. John, that's kind of a misunderstanding of our program. So you forget that there are actually 2 ways you make money through us. You only make one way through Top Step, and that's just your pure performance. So you trade with them, you trade with any firm, and whatever your performance is, that's how you're making money. But you're actually making money two ways with us. First, there's the performance on your account just from all the trading decisions that you're making, right? You decide to make 100 trades over the next 3 months, and whatever the results of those 100 trades, that's your performance results. But on top of it, we also have our AI analyzing it, and that's trading its own trades on yours based on its analysis of you. So it's saying, hey, even though you made 100 trades, I only would have passed 70. And then whatever money is made on that account is also for you. You get a percentage of that as well. So you don't get that with any other program. In other words, we have something that's analyzing your performance, adjusting it, and making money off of it, and you get a percentage of that as well. So it doesn't really matter what these other programs are because none of them can offer that to you. There's even what it also means is that maybe you're only making 1% of those 100 trades, but guess what? Our AI, which has analyzed your biorhythms and trades and all these other things, is trading this in another account, and maybe it was able to make another 10, 15% because it mitigated some of those trades for you. Well, then guess what? You're making money off that account. So yeah, you can try and compare us to us and say the profit sharing is different, but it doesn't really matter because it's not even relative. We're doing it completely differently, and we're offering you a way to make money that nobody else can. So all those others really become kind of immaterial. And why would you want to
From what
trade for somebody that you can only make money one way when we can do it two ways for you?
From what I know, I might be wrong, and I certainly am open to be corrected. I believe that we are the only technology out there, and therefore the only fund that flips the B book upside down.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody knows how a B book works. Right? We're the only ones that do the opposite. That is, instead of the brokerage making money off your losses, we have the technology that actually is not passing your bad trades to get filled.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
It's
turns you
totally different.
profitable. That's why a losing trader can be break even, and a break even trader can be profitable, because we're actually limiting some of the losing trades from being processed.
Okay, so next question from Brody, how to join the tiers. So I'm going to put a link into here right now, and I'm going to hit send to all, and this is the link, and everybody should have received that link that you can go to the NeuroTrader website and sign up for the any of the tiers. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Is that the right? No, let me take them right here. Okay, here's the link you want to go to. My apologies. Okay, so those are how you can sign up. Hopefully answer your question. Carol has a question. Will there be any chance to join later? Financially, right now, this isn't workable, but it will be in the future. Yes, we'll be doing further installments of this program. You'll have a chance to join later for sure. Felicia says, are these requirements for current past history, or can it be for future history once signing? Yes. So the behavior requirements are once you start with us, we're measuring those, and if you show them over that period, that's fine. It's regardless of what you've done in the past, it's still going to be during this program that you'll be analyzed. So again, you only have to be 1% profitable over 6 months. Make sure you don't have more than 1 month of double-digit drawdowns, and show consistent behavioral profiles.
So really, we're talking about our scorecard. It's our ability. We're talking about our ability to get you guys profitable. That's what we're really talking about. We don't care if you do have the commitment and the devotion to become a profitable trader. Well, then it's our job to actually get you there. We only care about from the moment you start and to the moment where we get you consistently profitable.
Yes. Kundam says also, what if you're in a trade wearing the technology, but you're not monitoring the trade or watching it every second of the screen? How do you ensure the data you receive is not tainted, for a better word? Ken, do you want to answer this one? I kind of have an idea,
Yes,
but go ahead.
I understood the second part of the question. What was the first sentence? What was the problem?
Kundan is asking, so let's say Kundan's in a trade and he's wearing the NeuroTrader technology, but he's not monitoring the trade itself. So he's like checking email and looking at other things. How do we know where, the data we're collecting is relevant to what they're doing?
Well, so there's two ways of answering that. First of all, we don't. Secondly, we do. We don't know if you're looking at the screen or if you're doing something totally different. But you know what we do know? We do know that we will know what your buyer data is, and we will know what your performance results is. And I guarantee you
On every
that
trade.
your performance results will equate to the biodata. It doesn't matter if you're playing PlayStation while you're in a trade. I know that if you're not focused and if you're not centered and if you're not managing your trade or planning your trade in an optimal state, you will, on average, consistently make losing trades. So the
And it's
data will tell me anyway.
Yeah, and it's important to understand that the most important data, Kundan, will be while you're in it making the trading decision or just before you're making the trading decision.
Yes.
If you're in, if you don't if you make like one trade a day, or let's say you make 2 trades a day and you make one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and in between all that you're doing other things, that bio data isn't quite as important for us, and so it won't really matter as much. But the information right around your trade will be very important to us, and that's all time stamped.
Before and after the click.
Yeah, those are super, super important states to capture. So hopefully answer your question. But there is also something we're adding on in the future, Kundan, which is eye tracking technology. So
Yep.
we'll, eventually be integrating that in within, I think, 2019 or pretty close to that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we'll be watching
Second
eye
half
movements, and we'll be able to filter out the data. Hey, he's reading emails right now versus, hey, he's actually looking at his charts.
Yeah, we're going to integrate it very early in like February, March of next year, but we're going to play with it in-house until about August, and then we'll most probably release it in the second half of next year.
Okay, Sarah has a question while in the, okay, this is the same question before. Can she trade on an individual account not associated? Yes, you can, no problem. Manoj says, is there any provision of recruiting trader based on their prior trading performance without doing any tier program? No, there isn't. It's all, everybody has to go through this, Manoj, so hopefully answer your question. Nabil says, as a swing trader who enters the markets based on stops and loaders, how will the system measure my brainwaves? So Ken, do you want to answer that one?
So is he manually entering the trades?
I believe so. He's no longer in the webinar, but he posted this question before he left. So
All right, but
I'm assuming he's manually entering via swing trading.
yeah. So we answered that like two questions ago.
Yes.
We're monitoring and measuring that decision, that planning and decision making process. That's what we're looking for. What happens after you've pulled the trigger, the markets will determine that. And the markets will only reflect back to you how well your preparation and execution is. You can't do nothing for the trade once the boat's gone. It's gone. It's finished. You've let go of the arrow, as Chris would in his archery. You've shot the bullet. It's gone. It's out. And that's it. And we care about making sure that your planning and execution is in an optimal state. That's what we care about.
Satish says, I'm outside the US. Can I do this? Yes, it doesn't matter what country you're from. Marcus has a question. How long does it take to go fully on board to earning a serious income in the program? How long will the stages 1, 2, and 3 take? So minimum 6 months, Marcus. We're not funding anybody until the 6-month part of the program is done. So you have to complete a minimum. You have to complete any one tier of the program. In terms of how long until you are making money, there's no way for us to answer that honestly, like say, yes, you'll be making money at this month or this month, because one, we don't know what the market conditions are going to be like, and two, we don't know anything about you.
And
So,
also, what does serious money mean? Does serious money mean $100 a day, or does it mean $10,000 a day? We don't know what your habits are. It's all relative.
there's too many
Your
moving
expectations.
parts.
It's difficult to answer that.
You can't walk into a martial arts studio with no martial arts experience and be like, oh, okay, how long before I'm a black belt and kicking people's asses? Like, there's no answer to that. There's no way to know how long it will take you to build those skills, because they're all dependent upon you. But what we can say is that after the 6-month program or the 12-month program, you're going to be a different trader. You do the training, you follow the rules, you are going to be a completely different trader.
Yep.
So in other words, in 6 months, you can be a completely different and far better trader than you are right now.
That's for sure.
That would be the way to answer that.
Yep.
Wow, we still got a lot more questions and not much time. So Bernard says, I'm new to trading. I just joined your course a few weeks ago. I don't feel that I'm ready to join the hedge funds so soon. Will there be enrollments in the future? Yes, there will be. So the next period will open up again 6 months after the program starts, which is on February 11th. Hyro has a question. How will a person have a chance of working with you, he or she, if they are already consistent? The same thing, you have to go through the same requirements everybody. We don't care what you've done up to this point. We only care that what you're like when you go through our program. So it doesn't really matter what you are right now.
And again, I want to, something that we didn't touch on, we did in a previous webinar, is why is it so important to do the program? Because we must record your biodata in order to create baselines so that the artificial intelligence can adjust itself to you personally.
Yes.
That's why you can't just jump in, because we haven't programmed the AI to respond to your biodata.
Yes. Okay, so let's see here. Jill's is saying, I have no idea how the remuneration is working as a trader for a hedge fund. I fully understand the gain of being able to monitor the relationship between the biofigures. So for now, you guys are asking us to subscribe, to join the program for 6 months at the cost. Yes, so you have to join the program. There's a cost for this. There's the tier 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. You choose which one you want to. If you have questions about that, we're happy to answer those questions. If I subscribe to the program, how would you be sending the device to India? We're going to mail it to you. It doesn't matter where you are internationally. We're shipping it anywhere internationally. So do we get to see the data in real time? Yes, you get to see the data in real time. In terms of the analytics, though, the frequency of the analytics depends upon what tier you are. Or I should say the frequency of the analytics and feedback model you get is depending upon what tier you are. The professional, the tier 3, gets every single day. The intermediate gets a little less frequently, and then the tier 1 gets it. It's almost like twice a month, and then monthly they have webinars and calls with their peak performance coach.
Everybody will get access to biodata reports every single day. It doesn't have, so there are stages of introducing biodata reports to you, and it's structured in a very methodical manner in order to create, again, the most important part of everything that we do is creating the baselines. And so the biodata reporting happens in month 2 and 3, and the reports just get more in detail as the months go on. The most important thing, again, is to create nice, clean baselines of biodata for every single trader so that the AI can work as efficiently and as effectively as possible.
Greg says, how much time do you need using the technology? I work a 9-to-5 job. I think what was our minimum requirement, like 15 minutes a day?
Well, we start with 15 minutes, and we would like every single person at the end of 6 months to be doing 1 hour a day.
Yeah, it's a pretty low bar requirement.
Trading every day, so it's 1 hour every day you trade.
Yeah, so pretty low bar requirement. Marcus is saying, I'm in Singapore. How long will it take for the delivery of the wearable device? So we're sending out all, for people who sign up for the program, we're sending them all internationally. We're going to be sending them so that they're secure. It's fast shipping, probably only a couple weeks max. And we're sending them out on July 11th, 1 month before the program starts. So you'll have it well ahead of time before it actually starts.
Yeah, so mid-January, everything's going to be sent out. There's a course book that's being sent out as well. There's a whole thing to get you through the whole 6 months. This is very, very detailed. This is 9 years worth of research involved. My wife's PhD in psychology. Chris's 18 years of trading and how many traders he's mentored and coached. Myself as well. All of this is being wrapped up into one 6-month program. There's a lot of stuff.
Jacob is saying, is there any free option to join the hedge fund? I mean, being tested without paying monthly if somebody says good results. No, everybody has to go through this program. We are offering 1 scholarship per tier. We're going to set up an application towards that in the near future, but it's only going to be 1 person per tier. And considering we have thousands of people applying, just consider that it's a low probability event that'll be used. So if you know, don't bet on it. It's the kind of thing like, hey, you get lucky, great, but don't plan on it being your gateway in.
And you know what? Paying for something shows commitment. It shows that
Yes.
you're willing to sacrifice something for something that means more to you. If trading means that much to you and peak performance and succeeding at this very difficult task, then you're going to sacrifice something else for it. You know, and I heard the local priest said the other day, he said, "There's no love without sacrifice." If you want the rewards of, yeah, it's true. If you don't love the rewards of what trading can do for you, if you don't love it, you won't be prepared to sacrifice for it. The time, the money, you know, the going out and all these sorts of things. It's just the way that it goes. You show your love and devotion for something through that. And it's with that emotion of love that neurological pathways grow faster. The
Yes.
nervous system responds faster in a loving environment than in a depressed environment. And this
Yeah.
is that whole process of paying for something that you truly love and not buying a new pair of shoes or a new watch or this or that. You know, this is, or you know, even for it to hurt a little bit. I really can't afford it, but I'm going to do it because I love it so much. And that's where the massive reward comes from. Cristiano Ronaldo was born in abject poverty. Abject poverty. Watch his documentary on Netflix. But they sacrificed to send him off. And he sacrificed so many years as a young child without being with his mother and father. And the rewards, you know, speak for themselves.
Yeah. It's well said. Kelvin has a question. How can I enroll? I just put a link. I resent it to everyone there. Let's see here. We're going to blaze through these. We're going to kind of do this rapid fire here, Ken. So let's just, we'll go short on this here. Cornelius sent an email about the program. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Sarah, disregard this. You've already answered. Is the AI learning to replicate and therefore replace the human trader? No. It's just to assist and support.
Yeah.
Yeah, our belief is very, very, very clear at this point that a human by himself that is well trained can be very powerful. An algorithm by itself that can be well programmed can be very powerful, but neither of them can be more powerful than a really well trained human with a really well coded algorithm. That's our belief. So
And the human
humans
is
and
the
technology
master
working
and the
together.
algorithm is the slave.
Yes. Premnath asks, do we need to do any course like the advanced price action course before signing up? No, you don't have to. They will come with the course for those who do join. It's a free offering. We're not, Second Skies isn't getting compensated for it. It's just something we threw in free at this. So we felt like it was kind of one of the questions. Well, what if I need to learn the base skills to identify good chart steps? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Here, we'll give you this. Here, that's part of it.
That's
So, let's see here. Hener de Pedro. If AI is the coach, then the feedback regarding the trade decisions would be the before, during, and after the trade. The AI can give, so there's feedback that Ken and myself are going to be giving you based upon our analysis of the numbers. We're going to be sharing the data with you. But the software is also going to be informing you in real time what your biological state is right now. So that information will be available right there. Robert says, if you don't know which orders are being allowed to execute by the server, how are you able to improve or filter out the bad decisions trades? I think we've kind of answered that, but Ken, do you want to answer that super quick?
I didn't understand the question fully.
I think so. He's saying if I myself don't know which orders are being allowed or executed by the AI, how are you able to improve or filter out the bad decision trades? Yeah, it's a tricky question. I'm not sure I understand easier. Robert, how about go ahead and email us this one here, and it's the way he's phrasing it could have many meanings. So why don't we just have him email us and we'll get back to it.
Yes, please email us that one.
Hati is saying, would you consider a rise in percent for traders, not just an increase in the capital? Yes, we totally would. Based upon each individual's performance, if they show exceptional performance and we feel like, hey, you're hitting certain benchmarks or you're performing at certain levels, yes, we're totally open to increasing the percent profit that they get over time.
The more responsibility you take, the more of a cut of the cake you take.
Yes. Okay, let's see here. That one's done. Great. Okay, thank you. But can the okay? So Kunda has another question. Can the tech be used for me to hone what I learn in the courses? Yes, actually, that's one of the things we're super excited about, and that's one of the great things about Ken and I coming together is because before he was just monitoring traders' performance while they were trading in real time. But now we're going to be monitoring your bio data while you're actually studying the course if you want
Yes.
to. Like if you're
Yes.
studying the course for an hour data, might as well be plugging into that because we want to
Yeah.
monitor your bio data as you're learning. So we'll
Absolutely.
have your bio data of here's you training, here's
Yep.
you trading,
Yep.
and then we can start comparing. So the more information we
Yep.
get, the better it is. The more gold we can get out of that, basically.
We haven't mentioned that at any like openly in any
Yeah.
of the prior webinars, and so we'll just expand just a little bit on that one, and that is for those traders that really take this seriously. There is the second phase of professional trading, which is like what I do. I train and then I trade. I have a portion of the day where I train my skills, and then there's a portion of my day when I compete. And this is what I want to, and Chris, what we want to instill with those guys who do move into the fund, take this seriously, that we take the model of peak athletes and we transfer it into trading. So if you're trading every single day, you're going to train every day, and then you're going to compete every day. And so we can constantly be monitoring the training process and the trading process.
Yeah. It's no different than professional athletes. It's the same. It's the same model. Marcus has a question: is the NeuroTrader software a complete replacement for MT4, or is it measurement and tracking for now? Right now it is, but we're building the architecture into that so that it eventually becomes a platform, Marcus.
Correct.
So hopefully that answers your question. Caleb has a couple questions. Are we going to accept everyone that applies? No, you have to apply, go through the program, and then meet those 4 requirements, which we listed. Can we use a phone to trade with your hedge fund? No, I think you're going to need a computer to integrate the technology. Maybe in the future when phones
And
get more powerful, they can,
well,
install this
and
software. But yeah, computer.
I'm a firm believer that you can't trade from a phone. You know,
Not
would you trust
effectively.
would you trust your doctor if he gave you a medical exam on the park bench? You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just, you have to be at your workstation, you have to be focused, you have to be committed to that point in time and executing.
Yeah. When Cristiano Ronaldo's competing, he's not like when he's competing, it's on a pitch.
Yeah.
He's competing
Yeah.
in very specific
He
environments.
doesn't
So
walk on there with the sneakers.
yeah. Next question is, are you going to allow us to use our own trading strategy? Sure, you can use whatever you want. Let's see. Where's the page for the sign up? So Marcus, we posted the link. Did you not get the link? Because we've sent the answer to everybody. It should be in the question and answer area. If you didn't, let me know and we'll send it to you.
I also want to mention something in terms of this whole question of, can you trade your own strategies and things like that? My question is, we will look at how successful are your strategies.
Yeah, we're going to evaluate them. So
Why, you more than, if your strategy is not highly successful, you will want to change your strategies to those that actually work.
yeah. Do we have to do a certain amount of trades as set and forget or any style? No, you can do them any style. It's not a particular amount of trades. Well, we haven't set a minimum requirement of trades because some of that will be dependent upon how much bio data.
And we'll
We
see what
may in the
happens
future
during the
say,
course of the
hey,
6 months.
yeah, it's really the course of the 6 months. So
People have different growth
um,
rates, and people start at different stages of that trader development process. So it's everything is on an individual basis for everyone.
yeah, what is the fee? We discussed the fees. You can go to the link to get that, Caleb. I thought you were limiting my trades based upon the AI feedback. John, yes, we are doing that, but that's in a separate account. So that's done in a separate account. So that's when we talk about it's not going to pass the orders through. We can set it up so that you don't make certain trades, but the bottom line is you're still going to make certain trades that you're going to have, certain your optimal, suboptimal, or non-optimal. So again, the feedback and the models are different, but there's always something that we're going to be limiting in this other AI account. Hopefully that clarifies it. Answers. John says, I trade futures, not Forex. Yes, as long as your platform can get us API connection to it, that's not a big deal. You can still, it doesn't really matter per se, though, what platform you're trading on. But if you want to connect it to ours to where you're seeing your platform's feed in our software, then you have to connect it via API. Otherwise, you can trade whatever platform you want.
Yeah, but we can also just fix API from the broker into our platform.
Exactly. Any specific brokers? No, not yet. No, we don't have anything right now. You can trade with what you want. And then Marcus says the APA and ATM courses are offered along when signing up. They are part of the program. They're made available on January 11th. So hopefully that answers your questions. What sort of return percentages should the average trader expect? Ken, do you want to answer this real quick? I think it's the wrong question because we're not shooting for like, hey, X% right now.
Once they're in the hedge fund or to enter into the hedge fund.
No, once they're in the hedge fund.
But that depends. It's just like in any other hedge fund around the world. Different traders have different rates of return. It depends upon your performance.
Different instruments. Are you trading 8 hours a day versus 1 hour? You know, there's so many things.
How good are you? You know what I mean? How good are you?
Yeah.
In every other hedge fund, the point of this whole thing is that what we're saying is with the technology, whatever you're performing, we will be able to get you to a better level of performance than what you're currently at. And what any other trader, professional trader, we will be able to, with the technology, squeeze more performance out of that person than what they're currently getting.
Okay, so we're almost done, but we still got a fair amount of questions. So what is the risk reward ratio of your system? I think there's a misunderstanding, Dan. We're not, NeuroTrader as a program, we're not giving you a specific system to trade. Like, hey, you have to trade this system. You're trading whatever systems you want to. And if you want to use some of the methods in my course, you can do that. If you want to see the numbers about that, I published my 2017 verified results. You can see that there and get that information there. It's on my website. Dan saying, how can you gather?
The AI itself has different types of strategies coded into it in terms of position sizing, profit targets, and stop losses. It figures out what it needs to do when it needs to do it. That's the purpose of machine learning.
He's talking about like, hey, what's the risk to reward ratio of your like your price action system or something like that. He was kind of asking something more along those lines. So kind of a different question. How do you gather so much information with the thumb sensor, which is used for collecting body temperatures? Do you want to answer this one, Ken, real quick?
I didn't get the question. First sentence.
He's saying, how can you gather so much information from just a thumb sensor?
Well,
or a finger
okay. The wearable device collects 900 samples of data per second.
Yeah.
That's how much.
And it's not just one thing that you mentioned there, Dan. It's collecting many things.
300 samples per channel. There are three channels of biodata plus an accelerometer with X, Y, and Z axes. So the 900 of themselves, there's 900 rows of data per second.
Okay. So that answers that one.
Dan
saying, how can you collect eye movements with a thumb sensor? The eye movement, the eye tracking technology won't be with the thumb sensor. It'll be with a webcam. That's a separate piece of software. So
that's later on. That's the second half of next year.
Dan saying, are you vetted by any financial regulatory bodies? No, we don't have to be. If we create our own fund, we just have to be within the regulations to create a hedge fund. Correct. But the software and training program that we're doing isn't there's no financial regulatory body that regulates this.
No.
We would like to help create the regulatory infrastructure that I think is needed for the educational industry. We want to be a part of that for sure. But there is no financial regulatory body needed for regulation in terms of offering a training program. And in terms of our hedge fund, we just have to, like all other hedge funds, comply with the regulatory rules of a hedge fund. So this question really, it's not much of an issue. Is it Windows or Apple OS? Right now it's Windows. In the future, we are going to try and develop one for Apple OS, but if you want to do it through your Apple, you have to use the parallels. Stefano says, to be clear, the different tiers give you different amounts of feedback and analysis from you. And you can see and observe your own data through. So they want to know, hey, the feedback model changes, but they can still see their own data in real time.
So where the 3 tiers are exactly the same is that you will have access to your daily biodata, your daily report. You will see your biodata in real time. The difference is the level of access to Chris and myself. That's where the difference is.
Yeah. Feedback and training and time with us, basically.
Yeah.
What platform do we prefer? Is MT4 okay? MT4 is fine. It's totally fine. It doesn't really matter what platform you're trading on right now. It's really not a big deal. John says, I'm a bit confused. Do I understand you correctly that if I pay for tier 1 and am successful, I can become a funded trader? Yes, that's in this slide here. Complete any NeuroTrader program, any tier. So yeah, that was answered in this slide here. Do we need to trade through your platform? No, we've answered this. If I've already bought your courses, do I start those courses now? You can start those courses now, but the NeuroTrader program still won't start until February 11th next year. Brody just ordered. Welcome aboard, Brody. Okay, let's see. That's that one. Christiana, can you stop referring? This is good. And I'm totally cool with this one. And Ken, you're going to appreciate this. He says, can you stop referring to Cristiano and please mention Messi? Yes, of course.
Right.
We can totally mention Messi. I love Messi. I lived in Argentina for a long time, so I appreciate him a lot. We can use Messi. Messi's awesome.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, how about we use Luka Modric, given that he's the Player of the Year award?
Football of the Year, yeah. I'm liking him. So okay, so again, the link. I'm gonna paste this one more time. Y'all should have gotten it, but send to all. There we go. Everybody should have gotten it. Okay. Can you apply from South America? Yes, you can apply from any country. Will your system have any significant impact on computer performance, resource intensive? That's a question for you on this one, Ken. What's your...
No, not really. Not really. If your computer is relatively new, the last 3-4 years old, it's not going to have a problem at all.
If you don't meet the 4 hedge fund requirements after the 6 months, can you be reconsidered again once you do meet the requirements? Absolutely.
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 It
Totally
might
cool.
it might take someone more than 6 months.
Yeah, it's
It
possible.
might take someone more than 6 months, and that's okay. And it's nothing to be. So the point is, we don't want anybody to feel pressure. Pressure creates performance anxiety, which decreases your performance. We want this is what I said. I'm going to repeat it again. It's an individualized program. Yes, there's different levels of access to Chris and I, but the reporting, the biodata, all of that intelligence is all individualized. We all have individual rates of growth. We have different constraints in our life. Someone might have 4 children. You know what I mean? Someone might be single and very wealthy, doesn't need to work, doesn't need to go to school, and can dedicate all their time and resources to this. And that's going to affect the growth rate.
Yes. Believe it or not,
everybody will get there. Everybody will get there in their own time, and Chris and I will give all of our energy and support in order to get everybody across the line.
believe it or not, that's all the questions. So
Excellent.
I don't have anything else to say. I think at this point we should probably, we're talking 2 hours and 15 minutes at this point. So
we've drained everyone.
Okay, there is one. 10K to 10 million is a wide gap. Is there a system in place for advancement? Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's not that you're like stuck at that tier.
No, we want everybody to be performing.
Yeah, we want you to, wherever you start, to within 1 year, 2 years time, be trading a lot more capital than you are now. Okay, I think that's it. Do you have anything last things you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, thank you I'd thank everybody for being so patient in listening to us talk for 2.5 hours.
Okay, actually, we do have 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap this up. So, do they get to keep the device after joining the program? Yeah.
Yep.
After we're accepted to the hedge fund, is there any monthly fees? Yes, there are fees for using our software because you're using our software in AI and analytics, and that's a part of it.
Yes.
Let's see here. Could I add one more? Is the pay purely percentage? Yes. Or can we pay, or can we some pay up front? I'm not sure I understand your question, Kundan. So go ahead and email me that one as well. Email me your questions, and then I'll answer the rest of those there. And you can email me at chris@secondskies4x.com. Anything else you want to say, Ken, before we wrap it up?
I just wanted to just touch on this thing about the additional the payment, that second last question. So for those people who are into the hedge fund, that fee, it's a fee that everybody pays, that I pay, that Chris pays, everybody pays, because we need to keep on adding to and paying the salaries of the PhDs that are building the back office for us, right? But that will be offset to any profits that you make. So you make profits for that month, and the fee will just come out of that, just because it's a contribution that we all need to pay in order to keep evolving the software and the hardware that keeps us ahead of the game.
There is 2 more actually. Sorry if not clear. I mean, can we receive like maybe 1 to 2% of our funding as pay up front? No, there's no upfront payments on this or anything like that.
No, you are in inverted commas employed to trade somebody else's money.
Yeah. So what do I get to do? Anything from now until January 11th? No, the program starts on January 11th. We have to create an enrollment period, because we're taking, 100 traders. And so there has to be time for people to understand about this, learn about this, ask questions, and then sign up. So the program starts January 11th. You make a 1-month non-refundable deposit to reserve your seat. And then your next payment doesn't start till January 11th. And then if you're on a 6-month program, that basically means from January 11th, you have 4 more payments after that. So it just depends on what program you're on, but that's when your monthly payments start. Once January 11th happens and that payment's processed, we send the technology, the workbook, and access to the 2 courses out there for you. So good question. Can you sign up to learn how to trade without joining the hedge fund? Yes, but that's through my courses. So you can do that as well.
Well, you can still do the NeuroTrader course and not want to join the hedge fund and just say, listen, I've got enough capital, I'm going to trade by myself.
Correct. Okay, that is it. So let's go ahead and wrap it up there. We want to thank you all for coming. Again, a recording will be made available in a few days once we've edited and processed it. But we will announce that through my newsletter. So I will email everybody saying, hey, the recording is available for this particular, and we'll only send it to, and so we'll send it out once it's ready. So you all get an email from us. And that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's right. I just wanted to mention that, because all these guys are already on your mailing list, just for them to watch out. If you do want to see examples of biodata trades, each week, then make sure you open up Chris's emails and follow the links to the biodata blog.
Yes, because every single newsletter, when there's a new biodata article, I'm linking to that as well, so you can read about some of this technology and how it's being used in real time.
Yeah, so if you're not on the mailing list, get on Chris's mailing list.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, in the meantime, thank you all very much. We hope you have a great weekend and that you are continuing to experience growth and change in your trading, real positive change in your trading, because that's our focus. Our job is to take you from where you are now to becoming profitable traders, and we hope to work with you in this unique program. So I thank you very much. Ken, thanks you very much. We wish you a great weekend, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yep. Thank you very much. See everyone later.